The Detroit Pistons take down the Miami Heat in Detroit in spectacular fashion. It was an exciting game. It was a long awaited game of Asar Thompson finally getting that start. Uh, and it had all the bells and whistles that you could hope from an NBA contest. It went into overtime. But what I want to talk about in this video is the team, the state of this team and what they're showing us. Because I don't know if a lot of y'all are really noticing what this team is showing us. And I want to dive into that in this video. But before I do, this video is brought to you by Bridges and Stones Family and Relationship Care. You know, the holidays can be tough for a lot of us, whether it's distance from family, struggling to adapt to the weather this season, social isolation, or relationship issues. Depression and loneliness can get to us all. This season doesn't have to be something to dread, though. It can also be an opportunity to learn coping skills and the steps you need to move into healthier relationships. Contact Bridges and Stones today for a free consultation with a professional coach to get the support you need. Don't struggle alone. The link is in the description box below. You know, when you watch this game, especially when you look at the box score, I think it's more demonstrative of what we saw in this game. But the support that came in ways that we've come to depend upon, and in some ways that we have not come to be able to depend upon for the Detroit Pistons. Cade Cunningham was not his normal dominant self in terms of offensive efficiency and his ability to score the ball at a high clip. He got to his 20 points. He was 7 of 17, 3 of 6 from 3, 50%. So he was pretty efficient, right? +9, plus minus. But it's to say that there were many times where we needed him to score and he just didn't have it. The Miami Heat were able to throw extra defenders at him, kind of keep him off balance. He had some, kind of old turnovers that we had kind of thought that we had gotten rid of, hoped that we have gotten rid of, and they kind of came back, got a little loose with the ball. But you saw the team step up in a major way. The first and probably most prolific was Malik Beasley getting his start, 28 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists in 40 minutes. Shot 50% from the field, 9 of 18. 54% from the three-point line, 7 of 13. Right? He had an amazing game. He was their number one scorer. He was the guy that whenever the Miami Heat were making their run, Cade would find Beasley. Somebody would find Beasley wide open on a relocate, and he would catch and shoot, and he would just dagger him all night long. And it was spectacular to watch. I mean, the ball was going through. I mean, it was just ripping the net. It was absolutely beautiful. But then we also saw guys like Asar Thompson, who was their third leading scorer, who could have easily been their second leading scorer. He missed about at least 2 or 3 layups just right at the rim. Kind of account that to him just feeling a little anxious, maybe just feeling a little excited getting that first start. But he was able to get to the rim at will, in transition, moving off the ball. He was able to even knock down a 3-point shot, 1 of 3 for the night, and a couple of them went in and out. So he could have very well been 2 of 3 or 3 of 3. He also grabbed a monstrous 9 rebounds, but I think more than anything, his defensive impact. He was somebody that when we had him out there on the court, the other team had to figure out how to get him off of their main scorer. Tyler Hero, he was in jail essentially until they could get a screen to get Asar Thompson off of him. He did such a great job from the very beginning setting the tone defensively, whether it was stripping the ball from Duncan Robinson on an initial drive, whether it was breaking up a lob pass and getting that steal. He showed this was not going to be anything easy. He showed that there was going to be a level of defensive intensity that they were going to have to raise their play to overcome. And it allowed the Pistons to jump out to an early lead. Then you also get, and I definitely want to give him props here, Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren, 9 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Here's the main thing. He didn't foul out. Isaiah Stewart hurt his knee. It looked pretty bad. I saw the replay. That thing looked hyperextended at best. Hopefully there's no tears. Hopefully the MRI came back negative. Uh, Wishing him the best as far as a speedy return. But he got injured early, and we were going to have to lean heavily on Duren in ways that I don't think this team is necessarily comfortable having to do. And he made it through in overtime, with 5 fouls. With 5 fouls. He was the anchor that this team needed to get the win. Sometimes I think we misconstrue what we desire for somebody versus what they're able to do that helps us to actually still win. Look, Dwight Howard didn't have to be the offensive fulcrum in order to be great, right? Other players, they don't have to be everything we want them to be in order to be great. Jalen Duren, I'm not saying he's great by any means yet, right? He's still proving that he's a serviceable starting center. But in this game, he was what this team needed. He was able to stay in the game, throwing his body around, getting those rebounds, clearing the board so that they can get in their transition play, so that they can be able to get the shots that they needed to stymie the comeback that the Miami Heat were mounting. Now, I want to also shout out the bench. We got, I believe, 12, 20, 33 points from the bench. That's damn good. That's damn good from your bench. 33 points. I know Fontecchio still struggling on defense. And I know I still wish Sasha would get even more minutes, even though he got 20 and a half minutes. I do think that Ron Holland needs some more minutes, even though he played great, 3 of 5 from the field, hit his only 3-point shot, 4 rebounds, but his presence on the court was like almost like a mini Asar Thompson. He had that gravity, just his energy and that motor that he plays with. It accelerates the team in a beautiful way. And when you look at this team effort to get this win, you have to applaud them. Even Tim Hardaway Jr., who was having a really terrible game up until that overtime. Up until the overtime, he was 2 of 8, I want to say. 2 of 8 from the field. 2 of 7 from the three-point line, with only like a rebound and an assist. He was having a horrific game that we've unfortunately become too used to seeing, right? Shooting that's not quite there, defense that's not quite enough. Despite the charges he might get, he gives up offensive rebounds and gets beat off the dribble and things like that, and is having to take fouls. But it's to say that when they needed somebody to step up, he stepped up. Guys on this team stepped up. And this is something that we have to be able to applaud from this Detroit Pistons team, because they were still without Jaden Ivey. They were still without Tobias Harris. They were still without Isaiah Stewart, right? 3 core members of this team, right? 3 starting worthy players. I mean, when I say starting worthy, I mean Isaiah Stewart is just playing better than Duren, but I don't think anybody in the NBA sees Isaiah Stewart as a starting NBA center. But Jaden Ivey and Tobias Harris definitely are. And so playing without 2 of your top scorers, you can only imagine what they would have done at full mass, beating a Miami Heat team that was at full mass, that had Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets, who had like 35 points in this game. Tyler Herro got off as soon as Asar Thompson came out the game, right? They still had Duncan Robinson. They still had Bam Adebayo, right? They still had their full cast, and they were not able to beat this team with Cade only getting to 20 points and not having a monstrous game, right? That is telling you something about this team, that they were able to rely upon their system. They were able to rely upon trusting one another, and guys stepped up, felt empowered to step up to get this victory, a victory that keeps them in pace for the play-in game. But as always, I want to know what you all think. What did you think of this game against the Miami Heat? What did you take away from it? Who are the guys that you're kind of impressed with? Me, I'm super impressed by Asar Thompson. I've been calling it this whole time. I don't think there's any way you take him out of the starting lineup at this point. I think JB Bickerstaff alluded to it in his press conference after the game. And I think it's pretty much solidified now that this brother needs to be in that starting lineup ahead of Tim Hardaway Jr. But hey, holler at me in the comment section. I'm going to get back at you there. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notification, and I'm out. Peace.